My name is Margaret Wang, and I'm here today with Evan Havens, and we're going to talk about our online community called Go Allied Athletes. We'll share a little bit about how we got started, and we'll go from there.
Sounds great. So I think it was about this time last year that Margaret and I started really helping each other with our workouts and our goals as far as, what we want to do in the gym to be stronger, or, to keep ourselves motivated really was, I think, one of the main common themes that we were coming across, was how to stay motivated and what we were doing. And through each other's help, we were able to really, continue an active lifestyle and continue to do the things that we love. And that feeling that we got from helping each other was so rewarding that we decided to continue this and to try to help other people. And so that came in the form of an online community that we created called Go Allied Athletes. You can visit goalliedathletes.com to see our website. And our main goal there is to create a community of athletes, former and current, that come together in order to share their experience and their strengths and hope that there is a future for them regardless of where they are in their athletic careers. And our vision is that we will be a premier website to come to for athletes of all sorts to help each other with their three main goals that we kind of created, three categories that there are that we think fit into an athlete's lifestyle, which is their physical goals, their emotional or mental goals, or struggles, as you will. And then the last is their aspirational goals for what they want to achieve in that. And as far as their emotional and physical goals or challenges that they face, I think Margaret can elaborate on that a little bit more, if you'd like to.
Okay, so I guess for emotional goals, I'm currently trained to become a marriage and family therapist. So oftentimes in this field, it's about focusing on the role of identity and how it impacts the athlete. So, a lot of athletes spend hours, years training for their sport or multiple sports, and when they're forced to retire due to injury or because of their own personal goals, it can be particularly challenging to deal with this new change in one's identity.
Yeah, absolutely. I know myself personally, I felt that same loss of identity after I left high school and after I was no longer able to compete in things like football and wrestling. One, there was a loss of that camaraderie and team that I found in both of those sports. And another one was just a loss of identity in myself, for I didn't know exactly how to continue on day to day, really, just what is, who am I? Like, without that sport driving you and having that continuous motivation to succeed and to better yourself, I kind of got lost in college, and it took me a while to really be able to define who I was again. And I know, did you struggle with anything like that with your ice skating career?
Yeah, I think that kind of similarly, I mean, this is the reason that we started this online community, is to share these personal challenges and how we've all, encountered something similar. And for me personally, I found it pretty hard to move on after quitting figure skating. I used to compete on a national level, and just having that structure on a day-to-day basis, but also just understanding who I was as a person outside of being a competitive athlete was hard to wrap my head around at times.
Yeah. And so I think that really encompasses what we're trying to help other people with, as far as their emotional and mental struggles or anything like that. Because as far as we know, many people struggle with this, but it is not talked about, and there are not many resources out there for athletes to know that they're not alone, and know that a lot of people face these struggles. And so that's really that kind of aspect of what we're trying to help people with. And we see that on our website, on our resources page. We have many links to therapists and to other athletes who have struggled with these kind of issues. And for the other side of one of our aspects that we deal with, it's the physical. For instance, if an athlete is injured, that is also a devastating, not only physical, mental part as well, so it's all encompassing. But we do deal with athletes that have been injured and try to help them in their rehabilitation process. Margaret has dealt with similar things. I've dealt with similar things when we were injured, and to work with prevention as well as rehabilitation is something that we'd like to accomplish.
I think injury is a key component of the physical part of our online community, but also physical also encompasses those related to our goals related to being our best selves as athletes.
Yeah, true. So there are resources on our page for people that want to be better, stronger, faster, things like bodybuilding, things like Olympic lifting, and there's so many different areas that you can advance yourself physically at, and our hope is that in the future we'll have such a wide variety of people on our website that one can get help from an ice skater, can get help from a former football player, because the way you can go about physically training for these things is vastly different according to what sport you're doing. And so it's important for us to, I think, keep an open mind and take all those perspectives into account, because there's no one best way to do something.
I think that's a great point that you're getting on, that someone who's a football player can appreciate and also benefit from different aspects from wrestling or baseball. Some of the cross training can really be informative.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're seeing a bit of a movement in that nowadays, as far as professional athletes doing wide ranges of activities. I've seen NFL players going to do Bikram yoga and going to do all sorts of, as far as mountain biking and things like that, just to really get a well-rounded physical body.
And I think kind of along those lines, using different sports can actually be helpful with strengthening other muscle groups that you wouldn't use in your sport on which you're focused. So for example, when I was figure skating, I also noticed that when I swam on a daily basis, that improved my lung capacity, my endurance, my stamina, and also it helped me prevent injury during those times. What are your thoughts and experiences with that, Evan?
Yeah, I believe that repetitive muscle memory actions are good for your sport, but it also, I think, is a main cause of injury if you're only focusing on one area. or one specific movement over and over again, that when you're doing something as wide range of motion as your sport demands, like in football or wrestling, there's no one common thing to do, and not having your muscles trained in the proper way, I think, is a common cause of injury for many sports and many athletes. And so we also work with aspirational goals for our athletes, and I think that is a really important part of our website, that we help keep people motivated as far as what they'd like to accomplish in the future, or new challenges. And for example, for myself, this year I ran a marathon for the first time, and that was so rewarding to have a new goal and a new challenge in my life, that after I completed it, it was really worth all the effort that I put in.
That must have been incredible. It was so cool and inspiring to watch you train for that marathon. Walk us through that process.
Yeah, so I had always been exercising in the gym as far as lifting and bench press and deadlifts and things like that. And I think that just the repetitive actions that I did every day was getting a little dull, and I wanted something new to challenge myself. And so I set this new goal to start running a marathon, and I trained for about a year for it, and ran 6 times a day, and had many ups and downs, and I had the support of a friend who, without which I don't think I would have been able to complete the marathon. And I think that support was so vital for me, because there was times where, you know, I couldn't even run, 4 miles without stopping, and that really weighed on me emotionally and mentally, because I thought, am I going to be able to do this marathon? I'm going to fail. I should stop now. But with the help and support of my friend, I was able to know that she had the similar experiences, and that you just got to keep pushing through, and that it's just training. There's no such thing as failure, which was a very interesting perspective to look at it, because I had told her on one specific day that, oh, I didn't finish the run, I failed. And she said there's no such thing as the F word while you're training, because it's just training. And yeah, I did much better than I expected on the marathon, and it was an amazing experience.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Thank you.
Incredible. I remember there was a time when you told me about how maybe on one of your days you're expected to complete a certain amount, but maybe you didn't. What did you do to get through it? What helped you?
Sharing about it definitely helped me. I remember that day still, that I was set out to run 20 miles, and just at one point, I think by like mile 10, I wasn't feeling it, and like physically couldn't continue, I think, after mile like 14, and was so in my head about whether or not I was going to be able to finish the marathon if I couldn't do this. But what I did and able to get past it, like you're asking, was reach out for help, was ask people that have done it before, why couldn't I do it on this day? Does this mean something? What do I do to recover from this? And I think emotionally was the hardest part to recover from, was the damage to my ego, I guess, that it did not completing that run. But having that support there was so vital, and I think that's why we created this site, to have that support be there for other people who deal with, a wide range of struggles, from, not being able to complete a run, to being injured, to being cut from your team, your college football team, or not making the pros. You know, you spend your whole life, I think, training for these things and preparing yourself for, that ultimate goal. And when you don't get it, it's such a blow. It's such a damage to your ego, and such a damage. Just, what do you do? How do you continue? And that's where we'd like to come in to offer our experience and our support.
I think you brought up a lot of great points that, there can be some real letdowns, but having other people that you can talk to who understand where you're coming from can really lift us and allow us to keep going and to find, different ways to capture how we'd like to express ourselves athletically. From a personal perspective, more recently, Evan has inspired me to come up with my own goals this year. And my goal in the past few months was to do 15 chin-ups. And so I started at 8, and about every couple of weeks I would increase the amount of weight that I would use one of those little wraparound, those belts,
Yeah.
and added on some weight, and soon enough in the next month I was able to do 10, then 12, and last week I was able to hit 15. So it's there's nothing like that feeling, reaching that goal that you've been working towards, and kind of these physical challenges kind of remind me that I can endure, other challenges in life. It's kind of like there's a parallel, and it reminds me of our, the strength that we have as human beings, our resilience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that goes along with what we're here to provide for athletes that have to discontinue their sport, is that you can still find enjoyment and excitement in the things that you do, and you can still set goals for yourself and strive to achieve these things. There's so many areas that we can excel in, and we'd like to show people that even though maybe you're done playing football or playing soccer, that you can still really find that same sense of purpose and same sense of either camaraderie or whatever it is you're looking for, that you found in your sport.
Yeah, I think there's nothing else like that, being able to find some kind of purpose. That word it weighs heavily, and on our website there's a forums page, and there you can talk about an issue and then find other people who are going through similar struggles. And I think that's the most powerful piece with our online community.
Absolutely. Yeah. Knowing that you're not alone, knowing that there's other people who have gone through the same thing, really provides a great service that I think needs to be out there, and that people need to have. There's thousands of people every day that aren't going to make it to the next level of their sport, or get hurt, and unfortunately won't be able to continue. And through each other's help, I think we'll be able to create a more healthy environment for these people to continue their day-to-day life and continue on with what they love to do.
Yeah. I think maybe we could talk a little bit more about aspirational goals and how it relates to your personal history. What would you like to share?
Well, as far as my aspirational goals go, um, that can combine all of the aspects that I think are important, the emotional and the physical. For in the future, I see my aspirational goals being, comfortable with the amount of work that I'm doing while still achieving results. Um, I'm starting a new job and I'm still in school. So lately, it's been stressful for me to still try to find time to go to the gym and to still do my runs and things like that. And so I really need to aspire to find a balance between work and life and, the things that I like to do that bring me joy. And I think that's something that I'm still working on and something that I could reach out on our website for and see how other people do it.
Yeah, I think it's a common struggle that we all kind of deal with, figuring out that perfect balance of taking care of yourself, but also spending time with people who are meaningful to you, and also maintaining our personal responsibilities. I think I don't know, it's definitely something that I've encountered too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I think aspirational goals can be set across the board, whether they're physical or they're for emotional balance, or seeing yourself in the right light, not being too judgmental, because no one's perfect, and yeah, we all have common struggles.
I think that kind of brings us back to our key values of our online community, that we really want to cultivate a non-judgmental and supportive environment so people feel safe to share what's really going on. Because some of these issues can kind of weigh heavily on the heart, and it might feel like there might not be a specific space to share. And on our online community, it's created so that you can remain anonymous and you don't have to feel pressured to presenting yourself a certain way.
Yeah, I think that's a very important aspect that we try to keep, is that some of these things can be very, very serious issues that people struggle with, as far as there could be things like drug addiction, can become very prevalent after one discontinues their sport. Eating disorders are very prevalent, and for someone to share on these things takes a lot of courage and strength, and we want to protect them and have it so that they can share those struggles and not fear being judged for it, because that does take a lot of courage to do so.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's we want to make sure that people feel comfortable and safe to share what's really going on. It's really important to shed light on what we're struggling with at the moment, and to have a space for that, and to have people who understand and don't place judgment on whatever we're going through. In the mental health field, it's often called comparison stress shopping. Oh, mine is so much worse than what you're going through. Or, oh, mine can't be quite as bad because that must be so awful. And so, really, yes, a loss, a death, that is truly painful and awful. But that cannot be compared with some other kind of issue, because in the end, those feelings are the same. We might not be able to talk about them because they're not perceived as being as severe.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of similar stories from a lot of people, and And it's important to keep an open mind and to know that we all feel the same way on the inside, regardless of what specifically happened.
Because the pain looks alike. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels the same.
So we really want to create a place where people feel comfortable sharing their experiences. We want to share our joys too. You know, we're not a glum lot. We want to make this an exciting space for people to collaborate, for people to, you know, be honest and open and authentic about what's really going on. That's what our online community is about. Come visit us at www.goalliedathletes.com, and thank you so much.